Hello, thank you so much for joining me. I'm outside because the temperature's gone up a little bit, so I've moved away from the wonderful wood burner to get a blast of air. So I thought I'd take you with me, or bring you with me even. And I want to talk about a something that we use to beat ourselves up very often, but it could well be something over which you have not a lot of control. Not a lot of control because it's actually instinct. It's come down in your DNA since your forebears many years ago lived in caves. And it's the old flight, fight, or freeze syndrome. And it served those folk really well. If they saw a wild animal, they would either fight it if they had their bow and arrow with them, or run if they hadn't. Come to think of it, that's reminded me that I'd seen something on the television about what you should do if you see a bear. And I can't remember if it was run or freeze. Don't suppose it matters if we don't get very many wild bears here in Cheshire. Yeah, so the freeze bit. If they could just freeze where they were so that the animal would go on its way, because they would know the temperaments of the various breeds of animals. But this has passed down to us. And at times it serves us really well. But at other times it can count against us. It's part of a panic attack very often. Whether you freeze, or when I had one in the middle of a supermarket, I just had to run because suddenly the supermarket was a dangerous place for me and I had to get out. And it's something that I used to talk about in hypnobirthing classes, because when women are birthing, they're often frightened because they don't know how their bodies actually work during pregnancy and the birthing process. And when it comes to the actual delivery, they get frightened. And when they're frightened, they tense up and go into the freeze mode or the fight mode. Not really in a position to do much of a flight at those times. But I saw this myself. I attended a birth, and it was a water birth. And there were 3 other children already. And I'd been told to just let myself into the house. Well, they'd phoned me to say the baby was on its way, and make my way upstairs and settle myself down and watch. So I'd done this. And Mum was progressing very nicely in labour. And the midwife, who was a friend of mine, was making minimal interventions. So Mum wasn't too disturbed and she knew that all was well. Then the children woke up, and that was it. Everything stopped. No contractions, nothing. Mum knew, not knowingly, probably her subconscious, that it wasn't a good time for her to be grunting, as was her chosen way of going through the contractions with the children around. So she was able to talk to the children, say, have a nice day. No, you can't get in the pool with me and have a play. No. And when the 3rd child had gone off to nursery, they started up again, because in her mind it was now safe for her to have the contractions and to birth her baby. So in cases like that, it can really serve us well. But the freeze, apart from me freezing out here now, do you ever sort of, because you're so frightened, you just cannot move, you can't do anything, you feel as if you're stuck? It's not because you're a coward, it's not anything to do with you personally. It's that inbuilt natural reaction. So just take a couple of breaths and tell yourself, it's all right, I'm all right. And you can hopefully then move on. But don't beat yourself up about it. And if you run out of the supermarket as I did, yeah, fine. It's instinct. But the fight bit, it's not necessarily fisticuffs fight, dueling pistols at dawn on the common sort of thing. It can be a mental fight. You can be fighting with yourself. Well, what should I do? Where should I be going? What reaction? What? Who? Why? When? Where? All of the crows are joining in with their suggestions. All of those ideas whirling around in your mind. And that is an internal fighting, which usually leads you to freeze, maybe until you've resolved which one of those you think is the best action. And then you might choose to take that. So sometimes our heritage can count for us, but at times it can count against us. Maybe in years to come it will gradually have faded away, a bit like our appendix, which was necessary when a diet was largely uncooked veg and fruits. We needed that appendix, it was an essential part. But now it's just a little thing that can cause a lot of trouble for some people. And presumably, over the generations, it could gradually just stop being. It will gradually shrink and then be taken into the rest of the gut. I could be completely off the mark with that one, but to me it sounds a natural way to go. But what's natural to me isn't always theoretically possible or theoretically probable either. So on that note, before I do freeze to the spot, because I came out in my slippers, silly Billy, I will say thank you for joining me, and have a think about if you freeze, if you take to flight, or if you feel that you are fighting either physically or mentally, emotionally, that it's those cavemen to blame. It would stop you beating yourself up. On that note, take care. Thanks for joining me, and bye for now. Speak to you soon. Bye.